All right, guys, we had some technical difficulties. I'll let this simmer. Give me a second. So yeah, I'll let you guys settle in here. We'll see if this heats up. The original link wasn't working. So we'll see if this warms up a bit. Manage. Let's get that out of there. How do we delete this? Dismiss, edit. How do we delete this? So yeah, guys, give me 1 second. I somehow have 2 streams going at once, so I'm trying to figure this out. What's up, Sal? Let's go. 18 hours ish away. Lupin Ortiz. I saw that. Yeah, so it's 6 a.m. my time. 6 a.m. Sunday morning my time. I just want to welcome everybody as they're checking in. We got Fighters Paradise podcast. I'm a new sub looking to get in the space. What fight should I look up to grow my boxing knowledge? Great question, mate. Fighters Paradise, depending on your knowledge of the sport, I would start, this is going to sound wild, I would start in the 30s. Start researching Henry Armstrong, Homicide Hank, so you could start understanding why Teddy Atlas wanted to implement the peekaboo style with Mike Tyson. Study Henry Armstrong in the 30s. Obviously, work your way through the 40s and 50s. You gotta, get to know the oldies before you get to know what boxing's all about now. Current fighters, go through the weight classes, see who the top champions are, study the ring pound for pound list. We got big fights tomorrow. Hang out on the channel. You'll learn. Banger of a fight. What's up, DJ? Starting the Floyd era. All right, starting the Floyd era, so good era to start in, especially if you were there for the 96 Olympics, coming out when he was a slugger, when he was, pretty boy Floyd before he started injuring his hands. Guys, I had some technical difficulties, so if you're on that other link, I'm trying to get everybody over on this link. But yeah, we just had the weigh-ins. I don't know if you guys watched it. The weigh-ins for Ituama versus Dillian White. The announcers were loving Dillian White. I wanted to get you guys feedback on that. You guys know where I stand. We've been featuring these fights all week. If you're new to the channel, I say welcome. Like this video as soon as you tap in. Let me know where you guys are coming from. We got about an hour, and then I have to go down to the city to box. And then I'm going to do one more live stream today. If you haven't checked my uploads, if you're new to the channel, go to my playlist, Fight Predictions, and you'll see the Stats Don't Lie videos. You'll see my breakdown, analysis, and prediction of Nick Ball for Sam Goodman. You'll also see my analysis, prediction, and breakdown of Raymond Ford and Abraham Nova. Those videos are only about 10 minutes each. And then on the daily, I do live streams where you get to talk to the boys, pick the brains of myself and a lot of the professional bettors on my channel. Also join our Discord as well. To get access to the Discord, just become a Johnny Says Boxing Insider. It's a couple bucks a month here on YouTube. You get access. So let's see where we are. Heaven Sent. Jared Cannonier looked very uncomfortable. May even be scared. Nah, there's no way when you're named the Killer Gorilla, you're scared. And you're, in your 40s now. Nothing scares that man. Yeah, Zoo 1 Rambler. Off to a good start, boys. We hit our Beijing fight. We hit $1.43 last night. I didn't really promote that bet too much because I'm a big fan of you guys don't have to get action every time you see that there's a fight. But we saw a fight in Beijing. We jumped on it because we had a Chinese fighter versus a French fighter, and we're on the money picking against the French fighters. So hit $1.43. $100 would have got you your money back plus 43. If you would have followed that lead, you take that 143 and you work with it, you play with it into the weekend. Salud, Don Julio in the house. We be watching the fights to zone ring release. Yeah. Very late in Australia, but heaven sent. It's very early right now. So it is, like I said, 6 a.m. Saturday morning now. My first live stream of the day. I got to run to the city after this to go spar. I'm a coach. I still box. I've been sparring every Saturday for probably the last 10 years. Sal caught that as well. I think they got to sell the fight. Yeah, they do have to sell the fight. I just feel like they are they're acting like Dillian White is George Foreman. I just like that they put the Japanese fighter before Hrgovic. Tsutsumi. Yeah, heaven sent. They're really heaven sent. We talked about this though yesterday on our UFC live stream regarding Japanese fighters with currently what they're doing. There's a kid from Japan on the card. His name's slipping my mind, the UFC. And I think it's the same with sort of the American mainstream boxing media. They're doing their best to prop up fighters from Japan because that country by heart is historically a fighting country. More so in the UFC trying to find a champion. We already have a lot of champions in Japan, especially the weight classes from 122 and below. History Vault in the house. Muscle Brown checking in. Muscles had a late adjustment to his moneyline parlay. Interesting, Muscles. Muscles, did you share it in our Discord? I don't want to share it if you didn't share it. Terrell Fearon, what's up, Johnny? I'm able to watch your stream as a UK supporter. I'm normally going to bed when you start your lives. Yeah, what's up, Terrell? We appreciate you, brother. Yeah, it's a little bit earlier for me. I've started this stream a little bit earlier. It's your Friday night, so Fearon, stay out of trouble, man. I just had my 2 British friends staying with me for 2 weeks, and they just went back to London. White getting effed up, Julius. Don't buy. I agree, Julius. It was crazy. Guys. If you don't know what Julius and I are talking about, go to YouTube, go to DAZN, watch the weigh-in, fast forward it to the last 20 minutes, and if you skip the weigh-ins and just go to the last 10 to 20 minutes of the live stream, you guys are gonna think Dillian White is gonna knock out Moses Ituama. It's insane. FX Coaching says, do you know Mayo Media YouTube channel? They have good. No, I don't. FX, man, it's nothing against other content creators, but I literally, in terms of what I watch, if I'm not watching fights, literally, if I'm not watching fights, so I'm doing my own film study, I don't watch content. You know what I mean? There's a couple boxing content creators that I watch from the UK, but I don't watch any MMA content creators either. All right, here we go. Muscles Brown. I took Valley. Okay, yeah, Muscles. So Muscles shared that with me, and this is how we roll. Whenever you got, and Muscles a professional bettor. He makes a living off of this. He traditionally will share his bet slips, but the last thing you ever want to do is when you have a guy like Muscles Brown, and we're riffing all week about who we like, who we're going to go heavy on. Sometimes you change things. Those last minute either add-ons or deductions, personally, ethically, I'll never share them with our Discord unless I see him share them. So he's obviously sharing them with the chat. So Muscles is taking Marcus Valley on the money line, Mindoro, and Trinidad. Now Mindoro Valley. Yesterday I had Marcus at $1.26, I think. Mindoro, I think, was at $1.11. I think he's at $1.07 now. And then earlier in the week, Trinidad was at $1.09. I think he's at $1.07. But Muscles is the type of guy, he's going to find a parlay to pay back 50%. So the best way to do this in your head, 50%, those are easy denominations to do the calculations. So 10,000 on that 3-leg would get you your money back plus 5,000. So this is a guy I talked about who he makes a living off of betting on boxing. If you're seeing a 50% return and you're betting $10, A $5 squeeze really won't be too, enticing for you. But over time, if you have the bankroll, if you have the consistency, if you do the research, if you have the sort of ethos, like Muscles is in the Discord in my group, Muscles is in the Discord in Gary's group. We got TJ from Chilltown. There's a lot of boxing heads to riff off of each other. That's why the membership's insane, right? So when you look at that 50% return on 10,000, 50% return on 20,000, you put the 20K down, you get your 10K back, and then so on and so forth. Muscles is historically, I've seen him bet 50K to win 25K. And that 50% return, like I said, on a $10 bet might not seem a lot, but do your research when you're looking at 50% returns of investments in other areas of commerce, such as stocks, crypto, etc. And it's literally, if you have the bankroll, the way to go. If you have the bankroll, and if you do your work. So Marcus looks ripped as fuck. Marcus is gonna get it done, guys. Tyro, Johnny, what advice would you give when you're researching a fighter you don't know much about? What key things? So when I'm researching a fighter I don't know much about, great question, Tyrell Fearon. What key things am I looking for? So I'm literally I always live by the phrase, what have you done for me lately? Meaning, say I'm looking at a guy who has 20 pro fights. I don't have to go back too far, especially if he's fought within that calendar year. Let's say going into tomorrow, there's a fighter I don't know much about, and in 2025, he's already fought twice. So what I'm going to then do is understand the impact of being active. So 2 times in 2025, he's fighting tomorrow. That's his 3rd fight. That's being active. So I don't have to go far too back into his history. I'll look at his, career record. If he has a couple losses and one of those losses are by knockout, I will go see that tape and see what happened. Sometimes it's fluky. Sometimes the ref played a part. Sometimes the kid just got caught. Sometimes he got beat up. Now, if he has a loss and it's not by knockout or a stoppage, I'm just going to look at those last 2 fights on the calendar year. Then you have to ask yourself, how old is this fighter? Is he in his mid-20s? Is he in his late 20s? Is he over the age of 30? Because then these sort of factors will tell you, is he adding levels to his game? Is he a finished product? Is he on his way out? You have to understand the mentality. Why did he take this fight? So there's a lot of variables. It's not just a black and white answer. So Terrell Farron, great question. We could riff on that question for probably 30 minutes. West Coast, thinking Goodman has a shutout performance tomorrow and competitively beats Ball, perhaps even flirts with a late stoppage. I rewatched Ball versus Vargas. Yeah, we disagree, Wesco, but I appreciate you. Rambler, Johnny, do your picks. Don't need Gary this week. Johnny, I've done my picks, Rambler. Rambler, be more specific, buddy. Westcoat, also think Goodman can open up Ball's leaky nose. Westcoat, opening up a boxer's leaky nose is insane. Is an insane sort of variable when talking about betting our hard-earned cash on a fighter, considering they are boxing. Daniel Caspian Octora, I like this channel for quick UFC betting references. Cool, go to the UFC. Heaven sent. Tsutsumi said he would knock out the UK fighter if this UK fighter is tougher than the fighter he fought in New York. This guy, Tsutsumi is a guy who's growing in confidence, super young. They obviously see something in him. The kid he fought in Times Square I thought that was a bad matchup. Nobody, even the announcers, had any idea who he was. And that kid, it bothers me. I don't remember his name. He was an American. Fought really well, fought really brave. Tyrell Fear, I'm new to understand what to bet on outside of select boxers, but most cards I'm watching, I only want half the fighters at most. So what do you look for? So Tyrell Fear, remember this. You don't always have to bet on every fight. If there's 5 fights during that weekend and you know 2 of the fights, just focus on the fighters that you do know. Sometimes the best victories we have in betting are the bets we don't make. FX coaching, why don't you like Gary Antonio? I'm actually rolling with Gary Antonio for this fight, FX. I did do a last-second parlay, FX, if you go to our Discord. It's not that I don't like Gary Antonio for this fight. He's going to win. It's a paid fight. The rumor is it's a paid fight, especially when you look at the Russell family, their history of being inactive, and then when they do come off of these long layoffs, I don't want to say they get fed, but they get fed. So he's going to handle that guy. Anybody know much about Gary Russell's opponent? He's a paid opponent. Thank you much. Appreciate you, Tyro. Julius, Tsutsumi versus Abstract. Yeah, some of the boys have been on the stream all week talking about this Ashfaq is going to be tougher than people think. Yeah, and it's not just Julius. Julius isn't the only guy thinking Satsumi's going to get beat. I disagree. But guys, I'm not betting on that fight. The odds, my book in Australia, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Satsumi's such a big favorite. He's $1. So the book that I use when fighters are that big of a favorite, we don't get offered method of victory odds. So I'm staying away from the Satsumi fight based on what's $1 going to do for me. $1, I bet 100 on the guy, I get $1 back. Not worth it. Rito. Yeah, I thought that wasn't the same guy, Mike Ross. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying. When you look at the records, the kid Satsumi who fought in Times Square, he's an up-and-comer. This Satsumi, much more pro fights. What do you think about the ball fight going the distance? I have some action on that. I have ball on the money line. My locks, guys, my money line locks, I put them up in the Discord, and I also put them up on our YouTube channel for everybody, for all the regular subscribers. And it's nothing shocking. I really don't see any upsets happening in boxing on the 4 main fights. I have Moses on the money line, I have Raymond Ford on the money line, and I have Nick Paul on the money line. Is Fernando Vargas on upset alert? I don't think so. History of all, Ashfaq likes exchange, and his defense does open up. The problem is Ashfaq can get knocked down early. If Ashfaq can make it past round or 5, might have a chance to make it to 12. Yeah, guys, but when we're history vault, let me ask you something. When you look at the odds of Satsumi and Ashfaq, so you see he's that big of a favorite. Like, is it worth even putting the energy towards that fight? Unless history vault, Ashfaq is your boy. Let's say Ashfaq is History Vault's guy, and he knows him. Then I understand, because I've broken down fighters on my channel who were kind of obscure mainstream guys because I know them. So I don't, all week History Vault, and I think Julius have been talking about this Ashfaq versus Satsumi fight. I'm kind of interested on why. The odds, they don't do anything for me. I want to know your perspective on that. People keep talking about if Ortiz and Lubin is official, mate. That is a banger. I'm a big fan of both guys. Erickson Lubin seems like he's 49 years old. I think Erickson's only 29. He's probably had more. Once again, how many title eliminator fights has Lubin fought in? You know what I'm saying? That's insane. For Lubin still not to be fighting for a world title, it's pretty wild. I mean, Grant, I felt like he was, we followed his career extensively coming out of the amateurs. He had so much hype on him coming out of the amateurs. And then his handlers rush him early days. Didn't he fight Charlo when he was 21 years old? And then he's fighting Seb Fundora in a very, as that fight was going on, the fight was really competitive. It's just Lubin's face swelled up like the elephant, man, and it got stopped. But, other than that, man, southpaw, gritty, slugging, that's going to be a real fun fight. Also, just get the over on Protest and Neil fight. Neil knows how to survive. Yeah, I definitely like, I like Jeff Neal in that fight, by the way. I'm not so confident with Antonio Russell, especially his opponent is a little unknown. Stay away from the fight. When in doubt, boys, if you're not confident or you don't know enough about an opponent, stay away. And guys, Gary Antonio Russell is the lesser of the three. This is not GAR. This is not the 140-pound champion. And this is not Gary Russell Jr. This is Antonio. Oscar from the Bay. Hey, Johnny, just checking in. What do you think about the Moses fight going over 2.5? I think it's better. Yeah. So, Oscar, on my money line picks, I have Moses on the money line. And then on a method of victory prop with a 3-leg, I have Moses by stoppage. I know a lot of the boys are getting sexy with the odds and doing over and unders on the Moses. The one thing, the one advice I'll give you to take home is that these boys are heavyweights. One touch could change anything. So that's why your odds are going to be better, because the risk is going to be higher when we're trying to get very specific about when the fight will end. So to answer your question going over, man, you got to think Dillian White is going to be able to navigate 3 rounds against a 20-year-old. Dillian's 37. It's the heavyweight division. Moses is 20. You got You got to think Dillian White is going to be able to navigate 3 rounds, right? There's no way Hayo to lose. The question is, can Ashford make it past round 4? True. Ford versus Nova Hergovich and Adelaide not going the distance. What's that page, Julius? Koki, what's up, buddy? Salute Johnny in chat. Hell of a day. 50-mile bike, 2.5 hours of training, 12 rounds. My man's an animal? God damn, I thought I trained. 50-mile bike. Are those outdoor or indoor miles, though? Koki? Upset will happen Saturday. Yeah, my upset haven't said. I'm definitely taking DDP to beat Chimaev on my upset alert. I can't believe DDP's plus money. That's insane, by the way, to me. Do you see Phillips Adelaide before round? Do I see Philip Hergovich? Once again, I have Hergovich on the money line fighting Adelaide. Do I see him stopping before 5 rounds? I don't know, guys. Philip Hergovich isn't traditionally sort of a hungry go-getter in terms of his output and his willingness to end fights. You know, look, when you look at his amateur career, the hype he had coming out of, I think he's Croatian. It was more about his skill set as a boxer, how he operates in a ring. It was never because of this guy was like known as a early round killer or a one-stop knockout guy. So just keep that in mind. Koki, I'm going for Nova, UD. Yeah, Bariqua, stand up. Nice. It's all good, Koki, but Pop's always said, bet with your wallet, not with your heart. We do have in our group, we have Coach Bermudez, who's on the chat. He's a follower of the channel. He's in our Discord. Coach Bermudez used to coach Abraham Nova, and he was talking to us last night on the live stream that Nova tore his Achilles tendon a couple fights ago in a fight camp. He said he was never the same. He didn't really obviously bet on the fight or give us a prediction, but it was information that, you know, the mainstream media really doesn't share. They don't really talk about injuries, which is interesting. Nova's only 31. He seems like he's been around forever. He is 5'9". And Raymond Ford isn't a knockout artist. So Raymond Ford isn't a guy who's known for pouring it on. I mean, granted, Thomas Matisse wasn't engaging with him, and Matisse was kind of just willing to just survive a fight in his last fight. So I do like how Ford's offense has been trending lately. When you watch his tape, he has been sitting more on shots. He's going to have, obviously, the world-class hand speed. It's really going to come down to, if you're getting sexy on the outcome, how prepared is Nova in terms here? What does Nova really want to do with his career in terms of here? And how aggressive will Ford be if he does see Nova get clipped a bit? So these are kind of questions. That's why, depending where your bankroll is, once again, if you're a boxing better, entertainment better, meaning like I'm going to put $10 down, I'm going to put $25 down, I'm going to put $50 down, and I'm going to try to create a parlay with the highest odds and kind of throw, you know, not really focus on the investment or the, you know, the risk of the money, but more focus on the potential outcome. Then I see why a lot of you guys are really persistent on trying to find these method of victory outcomes, because then obviously it affects your odds. That's why, you know, the risk is always going to be higher when we're trying to get anything can happen in boxing. A lot, you know, crazy to say, over the last few weeks, the biggest method I hit was Carrington Shushu to win a decision at plus 600. And when I was doing that tape, I was shocked I was getting plus 600. I mentioned it in my breakdown. And then when I hit and posted it on the Discord, everybody was shocked. Not necessarily that I you know, took the bet. They were shocked that Carrington couldn't finish that guy. The thing is, when you're looking at matchups, when you're looking at, you know, where the fight's taking place, these are all professional fighters. You know, it's harder than you think to stop a guy. Hayato will not lose. Satsumi versus Ashfaq reminds me of Carrington versus African guy. He got stupid plus money, just go the distance. I literally just said that. Interesting. I'm betting 20K on Virgil, no bullshit. Ooh, make sure you're betting 20K on Virgil because you see something in the tape and not because you're a Virgil fan. You know what I'm saying? If you're betting 20K on Virgil because you love Virgil, I wouldn't do it. I would just watch that fight being a Virgil fan and save your 20K for a fight that's a little bit more sort of, what's the word? Conservative on your emotions. You never want to go heavy on a fighter you like. I never bet on my favorite football teams. I never bet on fighters that I like. I never bet on my favorite basketball teams. Bet with your wallet, not with your heart. What up, people? Jorge Santiago. I have ball mainly by decision, but parlay by knockout. Similar, Jorge. I have similar action. Left hook city. He was supposed to fight Murta. History vault. Sal's blog talk. Johnny, what's crazy is fans will down Lubin saying he's washed bum instead of giving him his just due for having the. Yeah, dude. Erickson Lubin is not washed. Erickson Lubin is not a bum. See, Erickson Lubin is a dog, mate. Like, I love watching him fight. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. So yeah, people who are saying that, they maybe, I think, look, Virgil, I'm a big Virgil guy. Huge Virgil Ortiz fan, big Robert Garcia fan, Texas boxing in the house. So I understand that with Virgil comes a lot of diehard fans. So that's the advice I was given to the homie earlier about if you're betting 20K on Virgil, make sure you're not a diehard fan of Virgil, because that sometimes could misconstrue your your reasoning on why you're doing it. History vault, not talking about money line. We're talking about a specific prop bet. The prop bet is over 4.5. It's actually possible for Ashrak to make. Yeah, history. I'm not getting those options. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you, mate. Never bet on power. Box rec punches are inactive when they fight pressure fighters who are active. Yeah, Resendez heard. Charlo and the Mexicans fight back. Pro box fights go in the distance. Goat in the house. Goat, I thought you changed your profile pic again. I thought, you were using that big dude, and now you're Arturo. I thought I saw you on Gary's stream with a different profile pic. Boxing fan of the house, salute. Guys, we're approaching 30 minutes. Let's like the video, join the Discord, and if you're not subscribed, come on, guys. All you boys should be subscribed here. Goat says, I think Hrgovic goes a distance. I do too. Koki outdoor, I bike from Savage. Outdoor bike is insane. I mean, it's all respectable, but that's a different element. Chelsea, downtown New York by the World Trade Center. That has to be an awesome ride. Jorge Santiago Ford does everything better than Nova. He's younger too, 26 years old. Fast, speed advantage, better athlete, more explosivity. Nova's going to have the size advantage, the length, that sort of thing. Mike Ross, that's some nice info on Arthur. Boxing fans, 11 likes. Let's do better. Appreciate you. Goat, I predict Ford to knock out Nova. I could see that happening too. Ortiz versus Lubin is finalized. Let's go. I'm loving that fight. Koki, I hope Lubin beats Ortiz. Ortiz writing too many essays on Twitter. Yeah, Virgil went from a guy who was never active on social media. I wonder if it's actually him. I wasn't shocked at all. No, it wasn't a big puncher. Ortiz versus Lubin isn't official yet. All right, we're getting mixed sort of info here, boys. History Vault, Ring Magazine posting that they finalized. Yeah, but we know, heaven sent, it's not always wise to listen to Turkey Al-Sheikh on the Ring Magazine. That dude's like, somebody said, tweeting like his ex on Twitter. We know, even if Turkey's not controlling the Ring Magazine, we know he owns it, and we know over the last 6 months, this guy will post something like it's official and then an hour later say it's not. So let's just be a little bit patient. Would I love to see that fight? Of course. C says, doesn't have enough power to get him off of. I mean, what are you talking about? Lubin could crack. You don't think Erickson Lubin has enough power to get him off of Virgil? Mate, maybe we're not talking about the same fighter. Erickson Lubin could crack, dude. Virgil has way better footwork, and it is guys, it's not, when you're looking at fighter styles, it's not always when we're dissecting. Let's say we dissect the top 5 physical attributes of a fighter, and you start with the obvious. You start with power, then you start with hand speed, then you start with timing, and then you start with defense, then you start with output, and then you start with footwork. Even if one side was ticking all those boxes, it doesn't always mean that side will beat the other guy. There's other factors in there. You got to think about, how does Virgil handle southpaws? You got to think about, how does Virgil, where's his head movement at? Virgil gets hit a lot. Erickson Lubin could crack, mate. I think it's a lock. I definitely don't think it's a lock. That big dude. Remember Adelaide gas not past 6 or 7? I heard Nova was on holidays. Yeah, we got that info as well. Oh, that's ammo. I believe TJ's picture is Arturo. Okay, see, I'm streaming on my iPhone. So I do my live streams on my iPhone. So I only see you boys like that tall. Okay, so that is ammo. CD, Bob, History Vault. Says Backrum's still in play. However, at this point, I'm sure Lubin is more willing to accept a Virgil fight instead. Rumors already been saying Lubin been slowly the Bach fight down. Lubin been. I thought I heard Backrum didn't want to fight Lubin. To be honest with you, I didn't hear it the other way around. FX, I feel DDP has good ring IQ. 4 beating Nova by stoppage, to be honest. The chat is heating up. Goes to the big text. I thought Lubin was fighting Murder Zylev. Yeah, nothing's official, boys. We'll wait till this stuff gets official. Goat, we still don't have Ford on Nova. Really, I put those bets in, though, earlier in the week. Ford and Nova. It's weird how FanDuel plays with you. FanDuel is like, you know that scene in Friday, and Big Worm and Smokey, and Big Worm tells Smokey, playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. I feel like you guys who bet with FanDuel, that's what they do. Come on, Smokey. Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. Man, I wouldn't do that to you, Worm. And you know this. Bacrum doesn't want to fight Lubin anyways. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard Bacrum didn't want to fight Lubin. Fighters Paradise Podcast. Only reason I think Ford won't get the knockout because it's 10 rounds, unless Nova willing. I think it's a 12-rounder. Oh, no, my bad. It is. Double check that, boys. Boxers had done. Bacrum needs to be more active, man. Everybody is so quick to call Bacrum Murder Zylev the boogeyman because of what he did to Zoo. I need to see more. DJ Green, your phone doesn't get hot. No, I got that new boy. I got that new joint. FanDuel became something. CD, the fact that you think Lubin has a chance is why I will bet the house on Virgil. Fair enough, because opening odds will be closed. Fair enough, considering the fight's not official. And the fact that I think that the fight will be close is why you'll bet 20 grand on it, dude. You're a madman. I respect your hustle. Every time. If bro couldn't kill Virgil and Madrimov, couldn't win a single round, think he's good. Nova gas tanks won't last. Yeah, I don't think Nova's going to be able to hang late with Ford. FX coaching, you don't watch PFL. My boy fights in the PFL. We talked about this last night. I'm not betting on the PFL this weekend, but my buddy is fighting in the $1 million final in the middleweight division. He's fighting against Fabian Edwards. So yeah, I watch the PFL when he fights. Dalton Rasta. So Dalton fought 2 weeks ago. I covered him on the channel. I had Dalton on the show like 6 years ago when he went pro, when he was fighting in Bellator. That interview's on my channel. So go to my playlist, find interviews. You'll find the Dalton Rasta interview I did like 6 years ago. Kiza B, I joined the members. How do I get in the Discord? Kiza, go to our YouTube interface. So go to my main channel, and then you'll see the video shorts. You'll see a members post section, and in that members post section, you'll see me. I posted a post 2 days ago with the most updated link of the Discord. And if you still can't find it there, then message me and I'll send it to you. But it's on our YouTube channel, but only Johnny Says VIP members like yourself with the blue star have access to these posts. In that post, you'll see the link. Click the link, and boom, you'll be welcome to a whole new community. It's popping in there. I woke up this morning, man. I went to bed last night because I'm an old head at like 9 p.m. on a Friday. I needed some sleep. I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, and it was like 90 new comments. TJ, Muscles, and the boys were just, riffing. I think that Brian, something happened in the weigh-ins in boxing. Odds were shifting in boxing. Fights were pulled off. We had the hit in Beijing. We hit our first fight in Beijing. I was trying to get caught up. And then in the Discord, I also have MMA and UFC boxing channels. And then I find out Brian Battle's fight scrapped. Battle came in at 185, 4 pounds over. And so, anyway, my point is, get to the Discord. You'll have a good time in there. Hand history vault. Johnny Lubin is pissed at Bacrum for taking so long to make the fight. Bacrum went after Ortiz and Kelly. Those fights felt... Guys, did you see that? I know that Josh Kelly is in Adelaide's camp, but if you follow Josh on Insta, him and I follow each other on Insta. I sent him a message. It looks to me they flew. I don't think Josh was going to fly out with Adelaide just to back him. I think they're about to announce a big fight with Kelly in the ring. We'll see with Kelly there because they flew out Josh Kelly. I think he's a major player at 54. I think the world hasn't seen his best, and people judge him on the draw against Ray Robinson. But guys, Ray Robinson is at his prime was one of the toughest to come out of Philly. And then obviously people didn't like how he looked against Avanesyan, but Avanesyan was a guy who exposed Kelly's flaws in his defense. Kelly was a guy who used to waste a lot of energy, looked amazing, looked flashy, great highlight reel, and then when he would fade, it would all fall apart. But after that lesson he learned from Avanesyan, he tightened some things up. Granted, hasn't been against top level opponents, but he has done what he was supposed to do, beat everybody in front of him. And at 154, I think he's 31 now. It's now or never. He's very marketable. The UK has, follows him. He's an Olympian. I think it'd be wise to put him in some very big world title fights, or at least some title contender fights at 54, based off of the stylistic matchup that he would pose to any fighter. I wanted to see Josh Kelly versus Boots, but they obviously went with the IBO champ instead. Force Bachram to fight him. GOAT. I'm not seeing Ray Ford on DraftKings. It's not canceled. You guys are crazy. Kiza, now nice. All right, Kiza in the house. Well, hey, all the boys in the Discord, welcome Kiza. All the boys in the Discord, welcome Kiza. Kiza, get caught up on the goings on of the boxing chat. You're going to see a bunch of parlays. Kiza, Muscles put his up in there. Go to the Discord. You'll see my link that'll say Johnny's locks. They're all in there. Battle lost weight twice, I heard. Did terrible on that 4-second challenge. Do you like GSP, FX? One of my favorites. I mean, George St. Pierre, I wasn't a fan of his fight style. I was a bigger fan of how George St. Pierre, kind of the ethics he lived behind in terms of how he treated his body, was always in shape, his work ethic. Also, he was a guy at the time in the early 2000s, you never saw a lot of cross-training regarding their sort of strength and conditioning. But GSP, he wanted to work on his balance, so he started, doing calisthenics. He wanted to be less bulky, so he stopped doing powerlifting and went to do gymnastics training, to work on his mobility and his, being more limber. So GSP, his mind, GOAT status. Josh Kelly versus Bachram. I want to see that fight, boys. Kelly versus Bachram. And you boys, I guarantee so many people, let's say hypothetically Kelly fights Bachram. I know all you guys are going to jump on Murtazaev, but I would be hesitant. Gio John, did you see Axel predicting a decision? No, I didn't see that. I didn't see it. I'll check it out, Adu. Tyro Fear on Johnny's Discord. Nathan Abar, what's up, man? I've been able to join the live. Nathan Abar in the house. We appreciate you having here, brother. Boxing fan, you're correct. Gone off. Nathan Barr, how do I become a member? I'm on my phone. So Nathan, go to my. So what you do, Nathan, is you go to my channel, YouTube, and click become a member. There's a little button. It says on my YouTube. It says become a member. That's how you become a Johnny Says Boxing Insider, and then you get access to the Discord. If that doesn't work, comment on my last video and just at me, and then I'll send you the link to join. Heaven sent. Money-wise, I assume Ortiz makes more sense. Johnny, Bummer, we made it to the live. Appreciate you, Bum Equipment, my guy. History Vault. Plus, it's an easier fight. Jorge Santiago says, Bachram said in several interviews, every offer he sent is being declined. Yeah, so guys, it's also fair to point out, just because an offer is sent to a fighter and the fighter who receives the offer declines the fight, that doesn't mean the fighter is dodging the fighter. That doesn't mean it's a duck. It means, mate, I'm offended at the price you just try to make me sign. So there's that element too, because this is a business too. Tyrell, Johnny's Discord gave me cash. My first big win while I was betting allowed me to win a few more than I would be winning without his info and the rest of the guys in the Discord. These are the messages that's why we do what we do, Tyrell Farron. Because, look, I'm a lifelong boxing head. I've been in the game since I was 7. I just didn't know up until a few months ago there were other guys like me. So the community we're building on my YouTube channel and in the Discord is true blue boxing fans, man. We are out here, you know what I'm saying? It's not just casuals who are following content creators with clickbait and these guys with hundreds of thousands of subs talk about 1 or 2 fighters. That's not what we do here. We're out here talking about the sport. Rando, fresh off work, we appreciate you. Rando, light in the house. Johnny, Zach Gilmore, Johnny Salute just caught the tail end of the GSP talk. Rush was a true. Yes. Zach Gilmore. Did you ever see the interview that GSP gave on why when he said that all the announcers were saying that his nickname was wrong? Because everybody in the UFC would announce George and they would say his nickname was Rush St. Pierre. But he gave an interview and he said, my nickname, it must have got lost in translation. It wasn't George Rush St. Pierre. It was George No Rush St. Pierre. And he talked about that. He was like, when I see a guy breaking, when I see a guy melting, I've taken them down 2 or 3 times. The first 2 times they're on their back, their resilience trying to get up is super intense. They're giving me everything they have. They get up maybe one time, I take them back down. That 3rd time they get up, I feel them fading. He's like, I'm not doing it quickly. He was like, I do that by choice. He was like, I want to break them down. I want to take their spirit. So my nickname is actually No Rush St. Pierre. Just a little bit of insider info. Turkey will announce Bachman versus Josh. Fingers crossed that goes down. William Foster. Rando, did you see the odds on William Foster? They're insane. Guys, yesterday William Foster was a $2.43. Now he's even. Nathan Ibarra, I'm on my phone. I don't know if that's why, bro, but I don't see that. Okay, so Nathan, when you get off of the live stream, go to my channel. And if you don't see join, it should just say join. It should just say join. And if you can't find it, like I said, leave me a comment on my YouTube. Leave me a comment somewhere on my YouTube page, and I'll send you the link. Do you think Goodman can survive all 12? I think he can. I don't have Goodman winning, but I think that's a possibility. I have Nick Ball on the money line. History Vault says, if Ortiz versus Lubin is real, Bach versus Kelly is far more likely to happen. Facts. Boxing fan. Yeah, you need to do it from a laptop. Okay. Yeah, or I'm sure I could send him the link in a comment as well. Johnny, don't you have Kelly on speed? I do. I have messaged Josh, and I can't say anything. Just like with Muscles Brown, when Muscles or TJ, when Muscles sends me parlays, I don't say anything. When fighters I know, I don't say anything. The last time I gave out insider information that I wasn't supposed to, and I don't know if TJ is on this live stream, but Chilltown Boxing is TJ, right? I didn't know that. I didn't know I thought they were 2 different people. And Chilltown emailed me once with this like insider info, and I shared it on a live stream a couple months ago. And in the email, he said, don't, excuse me, I'm still fighting a cold. He said, don't share it yet. And so I'm thinking, I get emails from everybody. I get emails, out of the woodwork. So I'm like, surely this guy who just emailed me isn't going to be on the live stream. I shared it, and then he texts me. He's like, bro, what the hell? I just told you that. So I'm getting better, too. I can't be giving away insider information if the boys don't want it. Yeah, Nyack, do you have a link for your Discord? I do. The link for the Discord, guys, is on my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel, Johnny Says Boxing. You'll see join. It says become a Johnny Says Boxing Insider. Once you join, it's a couple bucks a month on YouTube. You get more access on my channel here, more accessibility. More importantly, that's how you join the Discord. Wow, huge. I appreciate that. Definitely did not know that. He was just different. Yeah, he was different. Not excited. I got him at plus 145. Rando Light. Yeah, so Rando, do you got action on Foster? Because I know Gary is high on Foster. I think Chilltown, I think TJ, I don't know if TJ was taking action on Foster or not. But I threw some sneaky action on him, especially when I saw the odds swing. Not too big. It's kind of like what I did last night in Beijing with Zucan. Zucan is a guy, he's had some big fights. I think going into the fight, Zucan was 20-4, and he was fighting a guy from France. And so just historically, especially over the last 6 months with French fighters, when they travel, I've been burned a couple times siding with the Frenchman, and I kind of sprinkled something on Zucan, and we came in, we hit. So I was like starting the weekend off with nice momentum. Doesn't mean you have to go heavy. Like we got fights starting in a few hours, and there's a nice little parlay that I'll share that I have action for Pro Box. So we hit in China last night. We're going to hit in Pro Box. We're going to hit that Pro Box card. And then depending on what my returns look like, I already have action with the Saudi card. All my bets are already in. I'm thinking about going ultra heavy on Duplessis on the money line to beat Chimaev. And that's my upset of the week. I already put that bet in. I just might go a little bit heavier. I really, really like Duplessis to beat Chimaev. Yakubov is a smarter bet, but it really depends on how Yakubov approaches the fight. If he doesn't throw enough volume, plus only mainly throws single punches, Foster could win. It's a close fight. I put 50 on him. I heard Virgil's face and Lubin. What's up, David Eister? David took a little step away from the game. You know, good to see you back in the live chat. That's what we're hearing, Eister. We're hearing that Virgil and Lubin is official. That's what some of the boys are saying. I'm not seeing anything on paper. I'm always, you know, you're in this long enough. You gotta side with caution before we get too hype about it. So it's a good fight. I mean, I think that's a 50-50 fight. It's wild for me to see so many people just disregard Erickson Lubin. Guys, Eric, man, I like Erickson Lubin. I think that's a good matchup for Virgil. I think they're going to bring the best out of each other. I think that's a fan-friendly firefight. So yeah, Raymond Ford says he's catching a hat tomorrow. Rolling the dice on Ray Sav. I like it more, the Prince. I like it so much for Bachram being the boogeyman. I think Bachram is going to fight Josh Kelly. Like I said, David, they're flying Kelly out to Saudi. He just landed. Granted, he fights in the same gym as Adeleye, but we never see Josh Kelly travel with his guys. So for him to be traveling, I predict, rumor on the street, wink, wink, he's fighting Murtazaev. History says the problem with Foster is that he doesn't use his height and reach, and his jab is non-existent. Likes to brawl. Yeah, look, guys, the Foster versus Yakubov fight, if you don't know these guys, don't invest anything in it. It's just that this is a fight that Gary was talking about on his live. I saw the boys in the Discord riffing on it. You know, William Foster, he's not a perfect fighter. Neither is Yakubov. If you don't know about this matchup, don't even eat with it. Joel O, I think I'm going to add Hamzat on the parlay you put. Adam, brother. Joel O, you think Hamzat to the Discord? That's on you though, because I'm going the opposite way. I like Duplessis to beat Hamzat. I think that guys, it's hard for me to get past Hamzat. The hype on Hamzat. It's hard for me to get past him going life and death with a 155er. You know, we've never seen him fight a guy as big as Duplessis. Dude, Gilbert Burns is a 155er. Burns dropped him in the second. Burns had him hurt on wobbly legs. Dropped him, almost finished him. That was a 155er. Dricus Duplessis walks around at 230 pounds. Massive. Strong hips. Great sprawl. Super unorthodox. I think the whole world knows what Hamzat's going to do. I don't think Hamzat is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov, I think, takedown percentage in his first, like every time he would shoot, very high. Might have been around 90%. I think the only guy that Khabib struggled with the takedown repeatedly was Al Iaquinta. And Al Iaquinta fought Khabib on 10 days' notice, maybe 5 days' notice. And Al Iaquinta was a nationally ranked wrestler as an amateur. And Iaquinta came from, you know, that Ray Longo camp in New York. And Iaquinta was a dog. But Khabib's strength was always having a long fight camp. That's why he struggled with a lot of injuries, having a great game plan, and being able to neutralize whatever opponent was in front of him, their strengths. So the longer Khabib went in his career, he would stand with guys. He would sort of, you know, trade with them and appease them on the feet. And then every time he would shoot for the takedown, it would be a timing thing. And he, you know, high percentage rate. Hamzat is going to burn. He burns so quickly. He's going to shoot for that double leg initially. Even if he gets it, he's going to have to hold Duplessis down for an extended period of time. I don't see this happening. I think Duplessis stops Chimaev in the fourth, if we're getting sexy on it. I was talking to someone earlier, and he said that he thinks Lubin is going to get splattered. He thinks that Lubin is trash. I don't think so. I don't think Lubin is trash. Kaya Sakura knockout. Yeah, Tim Elliott is Tim Elliott's claim to fame though was, you know, going the distance with Demetrius Johnson. Seems like it was 10 years ago. Tim Elliott is a world-class guy, veteran, very awkward to fight. Kaya Sakura is a Japanese fighter that, like I said yesterday on my live stream, the UFC is trying to find a world champion in Japan. Japan early days was the country that produced the Pride. They had world champions like, Takanori Gomi, the Fireball Kid, Kazushi Sakuraba. And over the last 20 years, they've struggled to find any sort of energy coming out of that country. They think Asakara is that dude. Kelly is not with Adam Booth anymore. Check out Kelly's Instagram. I'm not saying who he is or who he isn't with. I'm just talking about him training and being mates with David Adeleye. Some of the boys on the stream were saying he was going to Saudi just because Adeleye was fighting. But, yeah. Did you watch Lubin Ramos? Who do you have winning? That was a good fight. That was a good fight. I'd have to rewatch it. Dude, 154 is top heavy. They have some good names there. Jesus Ramos. No one's really putting their hand up to fight him. If you want to say Lubin's ability to take a punch is trash, that might be fair. I just think he's a Virgil hater. People love Virgil, though. I got DDP by following me. Boxing fan Nick Ball looks like he just stepped off his battalion for a fight during a weigh-in. Dude, Nick Ball is a maniac in all the best possible way. But, guys, don't sleep on Sam Goodman. Sam Goodman is a lunatic as well, mentally. Sam Goodman is a dog. True fighter. He could box. Nick Ball is a true fighter. He's more of a savage. The Wrecking Ball is his nickname for a reason. I just think Nick Ball's pressure, volume, and intensity is going to be too much. I think he's going to end up swarming Goodman. Every time any fighter fights Nick Ball, you could say the same thing what I'm about to say. Said fighter has never fought a guy like Nick Ball. Nick Ball's style is one of one. And Sam Goodman is going to have to be on his A game from round one onwards. He's going to have to he's going to have to answer a lot of questions from round one onwards. Like, I've heard people side and take Goodman how he wins. Goodman's going to have to fight a perfect fight. He's going to have to be excellent from the outside. He's going to have a good jab, which he traditionally doesn't. He's going to have to work on his framing off of the jab, which he traditionally doesn't. When you watch Sam Goodman's jab, I don't like it. He's here, and then he just waits, and then he gets countered. Here, doesn't move the head, waits, gets countered. By the time he gets countered, Ball would have already hit him here. Boom. I think Nick Ball is going to look good in this fight. I have a feeling they're trying to give Foster a good win. I see Foster by robbery. Lubin's a tough volume puncher. Ortiz versus Lubin. Great fight. I agree. What time does the Pro Box card start? JP Farley, on my sports app, it says those fights start in about an hour, actually. Yeah, Foster and Starlin Castillo, great value. You're probably getting what? What is that? Plus 250 for both? Does Haruta get the stoppage? Girl fights, ladies. It's always tough to pick a stoppage with the ladies, Adu. The only lady I ever take a stoppage is Gabby Fundora. When Gabby fights, I always throw money on Gabby to win by stoppage. Haruta could crack. Kelly and Booth done an interview together. They're still together. Yeah, boxing fan hopes Goodman takes it. Like I said all week, I'll be cheering for Sam Goodman. I hope Sam Goodman wins, but my bets are on Nick Ball. So I'm betting on Nick Ball to win, but I'm cheering for Sam Goodman. I got Ball by decision plus 200. Great. I like that bet. Yeah, Timmy, that's the thing. Goodman's going to be super tough. Real tough. I think the only way Goodman gets stopped is if some sort of thing happens, maybe a headbutt, a head clash, maybe something opens up. But I like the Ball decision at plus 200. Tim would beat Lubin, to be honest. Tim. Are we talking Tim Zhu would beat Erickson Lubin? FX coaching. Kai doesn't have good wrestling skills, right? Tim Elliott can submit him, do you think? The thing is, Kai's super athletic. It's not that he doesn't have good wrestling skills. He's a good all-around. No. Whoever said he doesn't have good wrestling skills, no, the dude's really solid all around. He's really fast as well. His sprawl, his ability to stop the takedown's really good. It's just Elliott's super unorthodox. And Elliott has to be 37, 38 by now. You got to give all the physical attributes to Kai. He's a favorite for a reason. Could he be on upset alert? I think so. I think there's an upset possibility. I like Duplessis more than I like Elliott to win by upset based on odds. I personally don't think Duplessis should be the underdog. I think those odds are super disrespectful, but If we're talking about upset alert, my two biggest picks would be Jeff Neal to beat Prates and Duplessis to beat Chimaev. I think people are sleeping on Jeff Neal, mate. That dude could crack. He's only, 34. He's a young 34 though, and I still think he's in the prime of his career. And I think Prates isn't as durable as people think he is. I've seen Prates get stopped on the regional scene before. And Jeff Neal, really clean, crisp boxing, really good in the pocket, really tough, really durable. We'll see. There's some really, really good fights on the UFC on Sunday. My Sunday, your Saturday. Bill Cry, what's up, buddy? Put a little on the Ball Goodman fight ending by technical decision. Jesus, that's a great bet. So I didn't know this. So you could take Ball Goodman ending by technical decision, plus 5,000. So guys, if you're unaware, that's something like we talked about. If there's a cut and said fighter is unable to continue and they have to go to the judges' scorecards, that's a plus 5,000. I could see that happening. I actually could see that happening more than the draw, Bill Cry. That's actually a good shout. Small pocket fighters catch big fighters off guard. Tyson Fury too, bro. Chill. I do love Gabby, don't I? I just like a girl. Dude, I don't know if it's because I grew up in a house of women. I mean, my dad, I had my father, but it was me and my dad. And then I had 3 sisters and my mom. And all my sisters were athletes. I was an athlete. And, my oldest sister, I remember traveling with her. She was a pitcher, fast pitch, high school, collegiately. And, yeah, I've always had mad respect. I used to manage a female boxer here in Sydney. Mad respect for the ladies. And watching how Gabby fights, though, it's admirable. She could crack, too, mate. Not every fighter, guy or girl, uses their height. She punches down. She's won me a lot of money as well. John, bet over fight time, 5 minutes. Don't get Mar the Prince doing all rounds for Ball Goodman. I can see Ball getting a late stoppage. Same. Tim getting slept. Prates going to finish him with knees. I think it's going to be a good fight. I question Prates' durability, though. And I think people are sleeping on Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal's world class. Jeff Neal, I think, is one of the best modern fighters to not be a champion. 100%. I mean, look, dude, this guy, has a win over Bilal Muhammad. Has fought the best in the world. Bilal Muhammad, former world champion. I'm mates with Bilal. I think Bilal's style is world class. One of my favorite fighters. I watched Bilal come up from the regional scene in Chicago. To see Bilal come up from the regional scene in Chicago and become a world champion, man, I was so happy for him. Neal beat Bilal on the come up, though. And look what Bilal did to the kid out of Philly, Sean Brady. And Brady, Brady's a nightmare for everybody in that division. You think DDP can stop Hamzat? I think so. I think I have money on DDP to stop Hamzat late. Hamzat fades, mate. Hamzat's never fought a guy as big as DDP, never fought a guy as strong as DDP. Like I said, watch Hamzat versus a 155er Gilbert Burns, a tiny Gilbert Burns, and he almost got stopped in the second. It went the distance. We watched Hamzat. Hamzat looks his best early on when he blitzes his opponents. Think, GM3, blitzes them, took those short notice fights. Hamzat got all that hype those first few fights during the pandemic. Hasn't been the most active. We know he struggled mentally. We know he struggled with his health. I'm not buying into the hype. I think DDP stops him. They dogged Charles White while he was champion too. Justin and Dustin didn't reflect those betting odds. Big bettors. If you don't hit tip, John. Yeah, tip your bartender. Kiza, I got Prates by knockout. Kai, knockout. Michael, you got Prates to knock out Jeff Neal. Ooh, let's go. I definitely disagree with that. Sam Goodman by DQ. I could see it, considering Nick Ball, we've seen Nick Ball shoot for double legs. We've seen Nick Ball throw low kicks. We've seen Nick Ball throw headbutts. It's going to be a fun fight. Yeah, Prates ain't getting that stoppage. Happy Friday to Dwayne. What book can you make that bet? Julius, I remember White being brazen, loud, and abrasive. Julius, when we get old as men, we get pensive. Technical decision. Neal lost to Neil Magny. Dude, Neil Magny is a dog, dude. That was Jeff Neal coming off that DUI, though. The Jeff Neal that lost to Neil Magny was the Jeff Neal coming off that DUI joint. They did him dirty, too. They posted his mugshot. You remember with Ian Gary was doing the T-shirts? You guys be hating on Neil Magny, too. Neil Magny's an OG. Still getting dubs. Was an underdog 2 weeks ago. I always win money on Neil Magny. When Neil Magny went and stopped who's the kid out of he was the Cuban I think he was a Cuban striker who defected to Australia, and he fought in the Commonwealth Games. He fought in the UFC for years. He went Hector Lombard. I remember Lombard goes in the Neil Magny fight like a huge favorite. I took Magny, got that upset of the night as well. Don't be sleeping on Neil Magny, boys. You replaying the knockdown prop for the upcoming. Oh, 100% Mar the Prince. Mar the Prince is talking about when we hit Ramon Cardenas, when Naoya fought Ramon Cardenas, and I took the 16-1. Will Naoya anyway get knocked down? I went big on. We hit that. I always, ever since the Lewis Neary fight, when you see that happening, MJ is gonna fight anyway right there the entire time too. MJ is a little spark plug, man. That's gonna be a real fun fight, MJ versus anyway. I had a mad scrap with Shavkat though. I think Protest is a nasty striker. Protest has been to some gym wars too, though, mate. Those boys down in Brazil with Carvalho and the Fighting Nerds, they go at it. I only reference that due to durability. DDP ain't that good on the ground. The thing about DDP is he gets up. You don't have to be that good on the ground if you get up. The thing that DDP won't do is play your guard. He's not going to lay on his back and, play that position. He's not going to do, mission control, sort of like Eddie Bravo style, no-gi jiu-jitsu. He's not going to do the Brazilian style with locking his legs. He's going to get taken down and get back up. He's going to, turtle crawl to the cage and get up. And that's what you want to see. So nothing DDP does on paper looks great. But overall, he wins fights. Taking the fight to go the distance. I think Brian Battle fight off. Brian Battle's not fighting. He missed weight. The fight got canceled. I got 75-1 on Magny round 3. Mallet. There you go, Keys. That's insane. Yeah, Mike Mallet, man. He beat my boy Solomon Renfro in the. I think he fought Solomon in the Contender. I had Solomon on the channel like 5 years ago. I thought Solomon was next up, man. Mike Mallet belt to Aston. What's up, Johnny? David Benavidez, a weight bully. I don't know, man. Guys, I got to wrap it up. I got to go spar. So I'll see you boys in a few. I've interviewed DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, on my podcast, Dwayne Styles. I'll send you the link. I got to run, guys. I appreciate the support. I'll be talking to you boys again today. I got a lot of messages I wasn't able to get to, but I got to go spar. And I'll be going live again today, hopefully for the fights, the Pro Box. Stay tuned to the channel. I go live every day. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Join our Discord. You'll see all the parlays, the bets in there. I know I got it. Elbow up, up. Later.